hello and welcome to Thursday's morning show with Elaine Crowley and Neil Martin.
To her supporters, she is a holy visionary who receives regular messages from the Virgin Mary. To her opponents, she's a charlatan who's ripping off gullible people into donating their savings. We'll be discussing Christina Gallagher and her house of prayer.
We'll also be talking to two women of who there is no whiff of scandal. That's Evelyn Byrne, former Lord Mayor of Dublin, and broadcaster Ellen Gunning. They'll be joining us for a fun chat about women of influence in Ireland and around the globe later.
But first, Christina Gallagher has gone from ordinary housewife to a woman of lavish wealth, all since she established her house of prayer on Achill Island. Sunday World journalist and author of Immaculate Deception, the shocking true story of Christina Gallagher and her house of prayer, Jim Gallagher, joins us now. Jim, thank you very much for joining us this morning. If you could just tell us, why did you decide to write this book?
Well, I was approached by a couple of different publishers who were interested in it because I'd broken a lot of stories in the Sunday World over a few months, and they thought it was, you know, she was well known, and they thought it would make a great book. There was so much evidence, whatever, and so I eventually agreed to do it.
But she was attracting interest from all around the world, particularly from America.
She was, yeah. She's got a lot of supporters there. She has 5 houses of prayer in the States, 1 in Mexico City. All built with money raised, a lot of it raised in Ireland. She was always doing fundraising drives around Ireland, and she was, I mean, that's how I presume how she became so wealthy herself. It's always fundraising for the last 20 years, basically. It's one thing's built, and there's another one.
A lot of support she got as well.
Well, a lot of support, and it spanned, like you said, over almost 20 years. But the cracks started to appear when Mike McCrory decided that he wasn't entirely happy and became suspicious with what was going on around Achill Island and in the House of Prayer. And Mike joins us now on the phone. Morning, Mike. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks very much.
Mike, shortly after your arrival onto Achill Island, there were locals there who kind of were planting seeds of doubt in your own mind.
Oh, yeah, but gee, I knew better than them. You know, I was a bit, what do you call it, one-track mind. And, see, Father McGinnity is a very, very good priest in so many ways. He's just back to loser here, and nobody can understand why a man, if we had as many good Catholic priests as him in Ireland, the church would be in great standing. She seems to have some sort of a power over him. And it wasn't her. In fact, all the years that I was her #1 fan, I would say to people, Christina's not very impressive. It's Father McGinnity. And he kept telling us how marvellous she was. And because he's such a great priest, and he truly is, he's so Catholic. I'm a convicted Catholic. And I'm always looking for priests who teach the faith, and he does. He teaches it better than most priests in Ireland, even though I think he's back to loser here.
Can you just explain to us what the relationship is between the father and Christine Gallagher?
Well, he's her front man. He's her PR man. He does 95% of all the work. He represents her, and he does all the talk. He tells us everything about her. He's the one that convinces us that all the things that she claims are true. When I started out, I didn't start out to prove that she was phony. And by the way,
you were quite a devout believer.
Yeah, let me first of all publicly thank Jim Gallagher. He has done a fantastic job. Yeah, I was definitely a believer, but when I started having doubts, I wasn't out to prove that she was false. I was out to get answers, more openness and transparency about the money, because she obviously wasn't answering the questions once they got started to be asked. And actually, we could have written the story, Jim and I, months before, but we wanted some hard evidence, and the first hard evidence came months after I first talked to Jim, when just by chance I was told by one of the locals that she just bought $1 million house on top of the already $1 million house she had near Newport. So I went and found the house, and then Jim got on the scene. Now we had something definite to go on, and from then it just, you know, it just went on to more and more houses, more and more money, fewer answers. And I mean, it's quite clear now she is a charlatan. She saw the goose that would lay the golden egg around about the time all these appearances were going on in Ireland, and she's milked it to death, so to speak, and she's still doing it.
Well, we know she's still active. How much money did you donate to it, Michael?
Well, I'm a poor man, but I must have given at least $3,000.
Yeah, and you were one of many people who donated quite a lot of money. What did she do with all this money? Was it all towards maybe initially setting up the houses to be the way she wanted them to be, or was there a more sinister purpose?
Well, thanks to Jim, it's quite clear she was doing both. She was feathering her own nest and the nest of all her family members. But she did build and she did construct 6 houses in America, 1 in Mexico, and of course the 1 on Ackle Island. So I figure these houses are worth at least 20, 30 million, at least total. And then she has her own houses must total, and her family's houses another 10 or 15 million. That's her personal wealth in her name.
You say that you found yourself having to make excuses for her on many, many occasions.
Well, you know, the old saying is, those who believe, you know, no proof is necessary, you know. Yeah. And once I believed Father McGinnity, and I have to keep stressing that because he's the real culprit here. If Cardinal Conway, or is that right? No, Cardinal Brady. If Cardinal Brady would do the decent thing and say to Father McGinnity, stick to your own parish, the bishop doesn't approve of what you're doing, and she would disappear. She wouldn't last 6 months without Father McGinnity.
What was it?
He's a real right here.
Yeah, well, I just want to ask you, what was it actually like for you in the house in Ackle? What did you experience there?
Well, you know, the prayers are beautiful. They're very Catholic. You know, I'm a daily communicant. In fact, I just came from 6:30 Mass. And the hymns that Father McGinnity chooses, the prayers to St. Joseph, the Blessed Mother, the Rosary, it's just fantastic. It's much better than you'd get in the average Catholic church. And the devotion of the people, very often they're the best of Catholics that go there. Mm-hmm. People who are concerned about the fact that the church has become wishy-washy, the homilies, and that implies actually in America as well as in Ireland. The homilies, for the most part, are pretty wishy-washy. For every good homily, you have to listen to 20 or 30 poor ones. But Father McGinnity is very solid. Everything he writes and talks about is truly Catholic, and I commend him for that. And I feel so sad that he seems to be under some sort of a power by her. She seems to have some sort of power over him. But anyway, the thing is, it was more Catholic than the church almost. And I know the teachings of the church, and I believe that the church is the authentic voice of Christ in the world. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean our cardinals and our bishops and our priests are always representing that voice accurately, and they're not for the most part. So people like myself are...
What's going on in Ackle Island? They don't support us. But Father McGinnity is in there, and I think there was a nun at some stage as well, and we'll talk to Jim about that in a sec too. But Michael, eventually you decided just to get out of there.
Well, no, it wasn't that. Something came up about a young man was making a complaint about somebody, a sexual advancement of one of their top people. And I didn't know the details, but I started asking questions about it, and it was obvious that they wanted to shut me up. And then when they started picking on me on a Saturday morning, first Father McGinnity, I demanded to see him. They were saying people are disrupting things, they're preventing people from saying their prayers. And I said, Father, all I'm asking you is to talk to this young man. He's shocked, he's broken off the relationship with this man because of his advances. And then the following Sunday, she went after me. I demanded to see her. We had a little bit of a Donnybrook. She started accusing me, being a terrible person and stuff, and spreading false rumours and things. And she used a swear word, and I said, Christina, at least I'm not swearing. She says, I'm not swearing. It was only damn or something like that. But, I mean, things like that. She's definitely got a filthy tongue, and she's referred to me twice as that McCrory bastard. So anyway, I have nothing against her personally, but it started out just asking, why are you buying all these houses for yourself and your family? And she wouldn't answer anything. And to this day, Jim proves in his book, she refuses to answer any questions. In fact, when they do answer, they just lie through their teeth, including Father McGinnity.
Michael, unfortunately, you're not unique in your story there. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning. But Jim, if I can come to you now, this is probably one of many stories you've written about, you've heard about in the course of your research into doing this book. You've told us why you decided to write it. Was there anything in particular that shocked you?
Well, basically, I just felt so sorry for some of the older victims. I mean, a lot of the people who gave money were older people. A lot of them, as Mike says, were devout Catholics, and they were just trying to do some good in the world. And they were told that Our Lady wanted this house of prayer to be set up, and then another one and another one. And they gave money to what they thought was a good purpose. And then at some point,